It was real interesting to know, like understanding the chakras from my studies, from my intuition, tuning into the energies of the centers and like what they do, what they stand for, what they mean is interesting because so the first three was like one part of the journey. And like I said, I have focused on those three chakras before using the self care package. So it was familiar, things that I was going through. And it was focused on the foods, really setting that foundation for those behaviors. And yeah, very like physical focus, like focus on the foods, like tangible things. And so it's interesting moving up from, well, I'm, I just finished, not finished, but I'm moving up. I've been focusing on my throat chakra and I feel, I'm being called that it's about that time to start focusing on my first eye. Hopefully you can hear me. It's starting to rain again, which is lovely. I love it. I love the smell. I love the cool air. I love the sound of rain. Um, yes. So it was interesting as I was moving to my heart and my throat chakra. It was moving from less tangible, physical things and moving towards the metaphysical, relationships, intangible things, and more so energy, and expression, which is interesting because as you move up your spine, these are all physical chakras, and then these are metaphysical, more so tuned in with spirit and not the world. And like I said, I'll have to do another video to further explain because it can kind of be confusing for people who don't know much about chakras. Um, and I'll have to find a good way to really explain it and bring some other pieces into it because everything is connected and like you can see. Let me not get off topic. Anywho, so yes, focusing on my heart and my throat chakra was moving more into intangible focuses like my relationships, especially specifically with my family. That weekend my mom got married was super healing for my heart chakra for me because I had like I've always had rough relationships with my family. I'm the black sheep. I feel misunderstood all the time and I clash with people periodically and things like that. And so the time that I was living out in Atlanta, um, it was kind of two consecutive times. Like I moved out there after my accident, and after my surgeries, lived out there for for a year, came back home to my mom's house. We got into it. She kicked me out, and I ended up back in Atlanta for maybe about like 4 months or so. And so, like, that whole experience of being kicked out of my mom's house and getting into it with her, it like everything with my family in general just came up for me. And like, I just had a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, um just all those things, like completely disconnected from my family pretty much, and grudges and just a lot of that negativity, um and then I ended up on the island moving to St. Vincent, because finding a random flyer in Little Five Points, and then after the island coming back home living with my mom. And it's been a journey. It's been super interesting, and it's always even more interesting to know that everything is connected and to know that the physical reality mirrors the spiritual. So we are spiritual first before we're physical. And so all those energies that I was dealing with was being reflected in my physical reality. So all of my family coming to town for my mom's wedding that weekend was really interesting. I was so anxious and nervous to experience being in the same space with family again. But it was everything that I needed. And like I wrote, like the major theme was forgiveness, grace, to know that I deserve forgiveness for like how I acted with certain family members, to know that other people deserve forgiveness, grace, and compassion, even if they don't live like I do, even if they don't believe what I believe, even if they aren't who I need and want them to be, they still deserve love and compassion. So that weekend, like, propelled me into the energy and space that I needed to be. Um, and it was interesting though. So I was talking about having bronchitis as I was first opening these two chakras. I was volunteering on a farm through this organization called Woofing. Some people may have heard that. But basically, you go to these people, these organic farmers, their land, in exchange for housing and food. You help them around their property, you know, their garden, with their animals, maybe building stuff, whatever they need. So I found a farm not too far from where I am, about a 30-40 minute drive. And I was there for 2 weeks, and it so happened to be the 2 weeks I was focusing on my heart and throat chakra. And so it was really interesting, like the energies and the messaging that was coming up for me, like for that initial opening of those centers. But it was also interesting the physical replication of what I was going through spiritually. And so what started out as typical like allergy symptoms turned into something further, to where I actually had to leave the farm because like I couldn't breathe. Like I couldn't get air. Like it felt like the air was like getting stuck here. And if you know, like your lungs are from up here to like, you know, where your ribs are. So all of this is your lungs. And I couldn't get air past this point, past my throat chakra. And that was the week that I was focusing on my throat chakra, that was designated for my throat chakra. So it was really interesting seeing that mirror between the spiritual and the physical world. And so like those 2 weeks served as like an opening of those centers. And then it was the wedding. And like the wedding was like a balancing of those centers, specifically my heart chakra, like putting it into action versus just learning the lesson like I was on the farm. And then the week after the wedding, I still continued to kind of focus on these two chakras, and I'm still focusing on my throat chakra right now, like that expression, learning when to speak up and when to just listen, when to preach and teach, and when to just let it be, when to plant seeds, and when to, you know, leave the ground alone. I just wanted to share that and kind of talk about my experiences with it. To once again, I always bring you guys on my journey, being vulnerable with what I'm going through, what I'm growing through, and what I'm learning, in hopes that it will, in knowing, not even hopes, knowing that it will help somebody who comes to my channel and what they're dealing with and what they may not have answers or exposure to. And so what's interesting is just the life lessons that you learn when you focus on the spiritual. There are no quick fixes. So like even having these books, especially the self-care package, and having those foods to eat and herbs to use, like there's no quick fix. Like life is a journey, and you just continue to build on your practices to build a lifestyle in order to create healthy and peaceful and natural environments for your body, environments for your spirit, and environments for your relationship to other people and to the world. So there's no quick fix. It's a journey. It's just tools and resources to use. And you just take it one day at a time, one piece of information at a time. And what I come to learn is that you don't have to seek anything. You don't have to chase after anything. You just have to be open to possibilities. Have faith in the unseen, and those things will be attracted to you. Those things will come to you. Tools, resources, guidance, opportunities, all of that stuff comes to you when you open yourself up and you acknowledge the unseen for what it can be. And another tip too when it comes to chakras is, like, yes, there's there's more than just your 7 chakras as well. Like, there's at least like 32 or maybe even 100 plus, like all over your body. But when it comes to the main chakras that most people speak on and know of, there are relationships between the chakras. So if you think of, well, we know energy, we know about, laws of attraction, polarity, positive, negative thinking, physics. I studied physics in high school. As an example, so let's say your heart chakra is closed or imbalanced. It will be pulling energy from the centers around it, so causing other imbalances. And so it's important to think holistically when you are thinking, when you're going along your journey, your spiritual journey, your health journey, to think holistically, think big picture, think of relationships between things. And that's something that's pretty dangerous with the artificial world. Things like, what is it, what is it, I can't even, like the pills, the seeming, the minerals that they put in pill form. I can't think of the term right now because I don't mix them. But, and I personally, Rocky,